Listen, oh, listen. Gather round, let me tell you a story that will make your blood boil and your heart soar. This is the story of Adaeze, a girl whose dreams were set ablaze by wickedness, and how the ancestors made sure justice was served. In the bustling village of Gbadegesin, where the marketplace hummed with life and the scent of roasted plantains filled the air, there lived a young girl named Adaeze. Her name meant princess in her father's tongue, and truly, she had once been treated like royalty. But that was before her mother died, before her father remarried, and before Mama Ngozi entered their lives like a storm cloud blocking out the sun. Adaeze's mother had been a renowned cloth weaver, her fabrics so beautiful that traders came from distant lands to purchase them. The patterns she created told stories of love, of courage, of the ancestors' wisdom. Before she passed, she had begun teaching Adaeze the ancient patterns, the secret dyes extracted from special leaves and roots, and the songs that made the loom sing. "My daughter," her mother whispered on her deathbed, pressing a worn leather-bound book into Adaeze's trembling hands. "This book contains our family's weaving secrets, passed down for 7 generations. Guard it with your life. These patterns are your inheritance, your power, your future." Adaeze had inherited her mother's gift, and by the age of 15, her fingers danced across the loom with extraordinary grace. She dreamed of one day opening her own shop in the great city, creating fabrics that would make her mother proud in the ancestral realm. But Mama Ngozi had other plans. Mama Ngozi arrived with her own daughter, Chidima, a girl 2 years older than Adaeze, but with none of her talent or ambition. Where Adaeze was humble and hardworking, Chidima was nose-horn and lazy. Where Adaeze woke before dawn to practice her weaving, Chidima slept until the sun was high, then spent her days admiring herself in every reflective surface she could find. At first, Chief Okonkwo didn't notice the little ways they were treating Adaeze badly. He was often away, managing his palm oil business in neighboring villages. He didn't see how Mama Ngozi would assign Adaeze all the household chores while Chidima sat idle. He didn't notice how Adaeze's portions at dinner grew smaller while Chidima's plate overflowed with the choicest pieces of meat. And he certainly didn't see the jealous gleam in Mama Ngozi's eyes whenever anyone praised Adaeze's weaving. But the wickedness was there, festering like an infected wound waiting to burst. It started small, like poison dripped slowly into water. One morning, at the village stream where women gathered to fetch water and exchange news, Mama Ngozi began her campaign of destruction. Have you heard?" she whispered loudly to Mama Kemi, knowing full well that everyone was listening. "That Adaeze girl, the one who weaves, I'm not saying anything, but you know her mother died of strange illness, Abi? And now, some of the cloth she makes, people say it brings bad luck." Mama Kemi's eyes widened. "Bad luck? How?" Mama Ngozi shrugged dramatically, adjusting her wrapper. "I don't know if it's true, but Mama Chinyere bought wrapper from her last month. The next week, her husband fell sick. Coincidence? Maybe. But also, Baba Tunde brought cloth for his wife. 2 days later, his goat died. I'm just saying, be careful." The lies spread like wildfire through dry grass. Within a week, 3 customers cancelled their orders from Adaeze. The girl was confused, hot, not understanding why people suddenly avoided her stall at the market. "But Auntie Ngozi," Adaeze said one evening, tears streaming down her face, "why are people saying my cloth is cursed? My mother taught me everything. She would never teach me bad medicine." Mama Ngozi put on a mask of sympathy, pulling Adaeze close. "Oh, my dear child, people are jealous of talent. Don't mind them. You just focus on your work." But behind Adaeze's back, Mama Ngozi smiled a smile that never reached her eyes.
That very night, as Adaeze slept exhausted from crying, Mama Ngozi crept into the compound where Adaeze kept her dyes, precious liquids in clay pots, each color made from rare plants and minerals, some taking weeks to prepare. Crash, smash, crash. Adaeze woke to the sound of breaking pottery. She ran outside to find all 8 of her dye pots shattered on the ground, the colorful liquids mixing into a muddy mess, soaking uselessly into the earth. Months of work destroyed in minutes. What is this noise? Mama Ngozi emerged from her room, pretending to be shocked. Hey, Adaeze, what happened? My dyes! Adaeze fell to her knees, trying desperately to save what she could, her hands becoming stained with the mixing colors. Oh, my dyes! Who did this? Ah! It must be wild animals, or maybe it's a sign. Maybe the rumors are true and the ancestors are angry that you are using your mother's patterns without proper sacrifice. No! Adaeze sobbed. No! That's not true. But the seed of doubt had been planted in the minds of those who heard about the incident. Chief Okonkwo, who had been away, heard about it when he returned. Adaeze, my daughter, I will give you money for new materials. But before he could, Mama Ngozi pulled him aside. My husband, I know you love your daughter, but maybe we should be careful. What if the rumors are true? What if there's something wrong with her weaving? We don't want bad spirits in our house. Chief Okonkwo frowned. My wife, you can't believe such nonsense. I'm just saying, let's be careful with money until we are sure. The money was given, but it was less than half what Adaeze needed. Weeks passed. Adaeze managed to remake some of her dyes and took on a small commission, a simple wrapper for a farmer's wife. It wasn't much, but it was a start. She was beginning to hope again. That's when Mama Ngozi struck her cruelest blow yet. One morning, Adaeze woke early to check her mother's sacred pattern book, the leather-bound treasure containing 7 generations of weaving wisdom. She kept it wrapped in a cloth, hidden in her mother's old wooden chest. Her hands trembled as she unwrapped the cloth. The book was gone. No, no, no. She tore through the chest, throwing out every item. She searched under her sleeping mat, behind her mother's old loom, everywhere. Where is it? Where is it? She ran through the compound like a mad woman. My mother's book. Has anyone seen my mother's book? Hey, that old book. Calm down, Adaeze. You probably misplaced it. I didn't misplace it. Someone took it. For 3 weeks, Adaeze searched everywhere. She barely ate. She barely slept. That book was her connection to her mother, her inheritance, her future. Without it, the most complex patterns, the ones that commanded the highest prices, were lost to her. Then came the day that broke Adaeze's heart completely. She was walking past Chindima's room when she heard voices. No, Chindima, you are doing it wrong. That was Mama Ngozi's voice. Look at the pattern in the book. See, the thread goes under, then over, then 3 times around. Book? Adaeze's blood ran cold. She pushed open the door. There, spread on Chindima's mat, was her mother's sacred book. Chindima was attempting badly to copy one of the patterns onto a piece of cloth. The stitches were uneven, the colors wrong, but there it was, her mother's book. That is my book. Adaeze lunged forward, grabbing for it. Mama Ngozi stepped between them, her face hard as stone. Your book? Adaeze, what are you talking about? That's my mother's pattern book. You stole it. She tried to pull her mother's book away, but Mama Ngozi was stronger, and she pushed Adaeze hard, sending her sprawling backwards. She fell hard on the hard cloth, her head hitting the corner of the bed. Pain! Shock! Adaeze sought the sprawling figure. There was a false eto in her clipped fingernail. Adaeze touched the blood dancing from her temple.
Stole it? Mama Ngozi's voice was dangerously quiet. How dare you accuse me of theft? You gave this book to Chidima as a gift, as a welcoming present when we joined this family. Don't you remember? That's a lie. I would never. Are you calling me a liar? Mama Ngozi's voice rose. After everything I've done for you, cooking for you, washing your clothes, treating you like my own daughter, and this is how you repay me, with false accusations? Chief Okonkwo appeared at the doorway. What is happening here? Adaeze turned to her father, tears streaming down her face. "Papa, she stole Mama's book. She took it from my chest." Mama Ngozi put her hand to her chest, her own eyes filling with crocodile tears. "My husband, I'm shocked. Adaeze gave this book to Chidinma months ago. She said she wanted to share her mother's knowledge with her new sister. Now she wants it back and is accusing us of theft." "Is this true, Adaeze?" "No, Papa. I swear on Mama's grave, I never gave her that book. She stole it." Chidinma, who had been silent, finally spoke up in a small voice. "Papa Chief, Adaeze did give it to me. She said we should be sisters and share everything." It was a lie, a bold-faced, carefully rehearsed lie. "Adaeze," Chief Okonkwo said slowly, "I'm disappointed in you. Your mother would be ashamed to give a gift and then demand it back, to accuse your new mother of theft. This is not how I raised you. Papa, please." "Enough. The book stays with Chidinma. Perhaps this will teach you about generosity and family." Adaeze stood there, shaking with rage and grief. She looked at Mama Ngozi, who smiled at her, a cold, victorious smile that said, "I won." That night, Adaeze cried herself to sleep, clutching her mother's old wrapper, the only thing she had left of her. Despite everything, Adaeze refused to give up. If she couldn't use the complex patterns from her mother's book, she would create her own. She would honor her mother's memory by surviving, by thriving. When she was 17, opportunity knocked again. A wealthy merchant from the city came to Gbadegesin looking for someone to create a special wrapper for his wife's birthday. He had heard there was a talented young weaver in the village. When he saw Adaeze's work, his eyes lit up. "Yes, this is exactly what I need. Can you create me a wrapper using these colors? Indigo, gold, and deep red, with a pattern celebrating fertility and prosperity? My wife has just given me twin sons. I want to honor her." The commission would pay 3 times what Adaeze usually earned. It was enough money to buy new materials, to rebuild her dye collection, to maybe, finally, start saving for her own shop. "I can do it, sir," Adaeze said, her heart pounding with excitement. "When do you need it?" "I will return in exactly a month. My wife's birthday is on the full moon." Adaeze threw herself into the work. Every spare moment, she was at her loom. She woke up at 4 a.m. and worked until her fingers bled. She created her own pattern, a magnificent design of 2 baobab trees intertwined, with their roots deep, their branches reaching for the sky, with 7 stars representing the 7 days of creation, woven in gold thread overhead. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever created, her masterpiece. Mama Ngozi watched like a vulture circling a dying animal. The night before the merchant was to return, Adaeze carefully folded the finished wrapper and placed it in a basket in her room. She fell asleep with a smile on her face, dreaming of the future this money would buy. She woke to screaming again, "Fire! Fire!" But this time it wasn't her room burning, it was something worse. Adaeze ran outside to find Mama Ngozi standing over her basket, wringing her hands. Oh no, I'm so sorry." The wrapper was soaked, completely drenched in palm oil. The golden threads were stained, the indigo bleeding into the red, the entire piece ruined beyond repair. "What did you do?" Adaeze screamed. "I was carrying palm oil to the kitchen. I didn't see your basket there in the dark. I tripped. The whole calabash spilled. I'm so sorry, my dear." Adaeze pulled the ruined wrapper from the basket. The oil had soaked through every layer. There was no saving it. "You did this on purpose," Adaeze whispered, her voice deadly quiet. "On purpose? How can you say such a thing? It was an accident." "The basket wasn't in the path to the kitchen. It was in my room. You went into my room. You poured oil on my work on purpose." "Adaeze," Chief Okonkwo's voice was sharp, "apologize to your mother right now. Accidents happen."
She's not my mother. My mother would never.
Chief Okonkwo had never raised his hand to his daughter before. The compound went silent. "Go to your room," he said quietly. "I don't know what has gotten into you, but this disrespect ends now." Adaeze touched her burning cheek, looked at her father, then at Mama Ngozi's barely concealed smile, and walked away. When the merchant came the next day, Adaeze had to tell him she couldn't fulfill the commission. He was disappointed, but said he understood. Accidents happen. What Adaeze didn't know was that Mama Ngozi had visited him that morning. "Ah, my good sir," she had said, "I must warn you about my stepdaughter. She's a troubled girl, unreliable. She destroyed your wrapper herself in a fit of madness. She has episodes. I wanted you to know in case she tries to blame others." The merchant never returned to commission Adaeze again, and he spread the word in the city. The weaver from Gbadegesin was talented but unstable. 2 more years passed. Adaeze was now 19, and despite everything, her talent could not be completely hidden. She managed to get small commissions here and there, enough to survive, though never enough to escape. Then she had an idea. If she couldn't build her own future yet, she could help others. She could teach. Several young girls in the village, inspired by Adaeze's skill, begged her to teach them weaving. "Please, Sister Adaeze, teach us. We want to learn." Adaeze's heart swelled. This was something Mama Ngozi couldn't sabotage. Teaching cost nothing but time. "Yes," she said, "come to the compound every evening. I'll teach you what my mother taught me." For 2 glorious weeks, Adaeze taught 5 young girls the basics of weaving. Their laughter filled the compound. Their clumsy fingers gradually learned the rhythm of the loom. Adaeze felt purpose again, felt her mother's spirit alive in the passing of knowledge. Mama Ngozi was so angry. On the 3rd week, she struck. "Adaeze," Mama Ngozi called out one evening, just as the girls were arriving. "I need you to go fetch water from the stream. We are completely out." "But Mama Ngozi, my students are here." "Students?" Mama Ngozi laughed. "You are teaching. Who gave you permission to run a school from my compound?" "Papa said I could." "Your father is not here, and I said those girls are a disturbance. All that noise, all that mess with threads everywhere. No. You will fetch water, then you will cook dinner, then you will wash all the clothes from this week. But I promised to teach them." "Then you shouldn't have made promises you can't keep." Adaeze turned to the girls, who stood uncertainly at the gate. "I'm sorry. Please, come back tomorrow." But the next day, the girls didn't come. Adaeze went to their homes. "Why didn't you come?" "Our mother said we can't," one girl said sadly. "Mama Ngozi visited them. She said you were teaching us bad patterns that anger the spirits. She said 2 girls in the next village learned from you and both got sick." Another lie. Another dream destroyed. Adaeze stopped asking why. She knew why. Mama Ngozi would not rest until Adaeze was completely broken. Finally, came the annual Harvest Festival competition. The prize was a substantial sum of money and an apprenticeship with the royal weavers in the palace. Adaeze had been preparing for months in secret, hiding her work, taking no chances. She created a wrapper cloth that told the story of her village through intricate patterns. The founding, the great flood of 40 years ago, the 7 chiefs who made peace with the neighboring kingdom. Each symbol was carefully chosen, each color perfectly balanced,
It was her ticket to a better future, her chance to honor her mother's memory and secure her independence. This time, she took no chances. She told no one about the competition. She hid the wrapper in 3 layers of cloth inside her mother's old wooden chest with a lock she'd bought with her last coins. The night before the competition, Adaeze checked on her masterpiece one final time. Perfect, beautiful. Tomorrow, everything will change. She said her prayers and fell into an exhausted sleep, dreaming of the possibilities that awaited her. She woke to screaming. Thick, acrid smoke filled her small room. Flames licked at the doorway, angry and alive, eating through the thatched roof like a hungry beast. Fire! Fire! Adaeze, get out! In her panic and confusion, Adaeze tried to reach her mother's chest. The flames drove her back. The heat was unbearable, the smoke choking. Strong hands grabbed her and pulled her out of the room. The neighbors came running with buckets of water, and together they managed to contain the fire to her room. But when the smoke finally cleared and Adaeze rushed to check her mother's chest, her heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. The chest was charred. The lock had melted. Inside, everything was destroyed. The wrapper, her masterpiece, her hope, her future, was nothing but ashes and charred fragments. Adaeze fell to her knees in the wet ash and her hands trembled as she touched the remains of her dreams. She didn't cry. She couldn't. The pain was beyond tears. Oh, what a tragedy! Mama Ngozi's voice rang out. She stood in the compound, clutching her wrapper dramatically, her face a mask of shock. Thank the ancestors you escaped, Adaeze. The lamp must have fallen over. These old lamps are so dangerous. Adaeze looked up slowly. I didn't light any lamp. What? I said I didn't light any lamp. I never light lamps in my room. I always blow them out before sleeping. You must have forgotten, my dear. You were so tired last night.
I didn't light any lamp. The neighbors looked at each other uncomfortably. They had all seen the pattern of accidents that followed Adaeze. Some were beginning to suspect the truth. Chief Okonkwo, who had returned that morning, comforted his devastated daughter. There will be other competitions, he said, though even he seemed troubled by the convenient timing of the fire. We'll rebuild your room. I'll buy you new materials. But Adaeze didn't respond. She sat in the ash, holding the burnt fragments of her wrapper, and something inside her died. Not her spirit, that was too strong, but her innocence, her trust, her belief that good would triumph simply by being good. She looked up at Mama Ngozi, who was speaking to the neighbors, accepting their sympathy, playing the concerned stepmother to perfection. And Adaeze knew, with absolute certainty, that Mama Ngozi had set the fire. For 3 long years after the fire, Mama Ngozi systematically destroyed every opportunity that came Adaeze's way. When Adaeze saved enough money from selling small woven items to buy new materials, the money mysteriously disappeared from her hiding place. She changed hiding spots. The money still vanished. Once, twice, 3 times. When a merchant expressed interest in commissioning work from Adaeze, Mama Ngozi intercepted the message and sent him away, claiming Adaeze was too busy with household duties. She's a bit slow, that one. Sweet girl, but not reliable for important work, Mama Ngozi would whisper. Sweet girl, but not reliable for important work. And Chief Okonkwo, who was weakened by illness and manipulated by his wife's honeyed words, seemed powerless to intervene. Mama Ngozi had mastered the art of playing a devoted wife, always sweet to his face, always with a reasonable explanation for why Adaeze couldn't do this or that.
My husband, you know I want the best for your daughter, but she needs to learn responsibility first. Once she masters housework, then she can focus on her weaving business. It's for her own good." And Chief Okonkwo, tired and sick, would nod and agree. Adaeze watched her youth drain away, her dreams deferred again and again, her spirit crushed under the weight of endless labor and systematic sabotage. She was 22 now, looking 30, with rough hands, tired eyes, and a heart that had learned to expect nothing but disappointment. But Mama Ngozi wasn't satisfied with just stealing Adaeze's opportunities. She wanted to elevate Chidinma by stealing Adaeze's very identity. She began claiming that Chidinma had woven pieces that Adaeze had actually created. When Adaeze protested, Mama Ngozi would sigh sadly and say, "Such jealousy from my stepdaughter. I've tried so hard to love her like my own, but she resents poor Chidinma." Some people believed it, others didn't, but said nothing, because who wants to contradict Chief Okonkwo's wife? The final insult came when Mama Ngozi managed to arrange a marriage for Chidinma with a wealthy trader's son, using Adaeze's work as proof of Chidinma's skill.
Adaeze had reached her lowest point. She had no money, no prospects, no hope. Every door that opened was slammed shut. Every seed she planted was uprooted. Every light she lit was extinguished. Mama Ngozi had won. Or so she thought. But as the elders say, the patient dog eats the fattest bone, and the evil that men do lives after them. Karma was watching, and she had a long memory. It began slowly. Chidinma, whom Mama Ngozi had managed to arrange a marriage for with a wealthy trader's son, was preparing for her wedding. The whole village was invited. Mama Ngozi had spared no expense, buying fabric and food on credit, confident that her new wealthy in-laws would repay everything. The wedding day arrived. The compound was decorated. The guests assembled. The food was prepared. Chidinma stood in her bridal wrapper, waiting for her groom. He never came. At first, they thought he was just late. Then an hour passed. Then 2. Finally, a messenger arrived from the groom's family. "The wedding is cancelled," he announced to the shocked crowd. The groom's family has discovered that Chidinma has been taking credit for cloth pieces that Adaeze actually wove. They will not marry their son to a liar and a fraud. The compound erupted in gasps and whispers. Mama Ngozi's face went white, then red, then purple. "Lies! This is all lies! Jealous people spreading lies!" But the messenger wasn't finished. The groom's mother is a weaver herself. She tested Chidinma yesterday, asking her to replicate a simple pattern from one of the cloths she claimed to have made. She couldn't do it. She couldn't even thread the loom properly. The scandal spread through the village like wildfire. The guests whispered, then openly talked. Everyone had suspected the truth, but now it was confirmed. I knew it. Didn't I say that girl had no talent? Poor Adaeze, imagine stealing her work. That Mama Ngozi should be ashamed. No respectable family would consider Chidinma after that. She was marked as a fraud, a deceiver. In a community where reputation was everything, she had none. Mama Ngozi tried to salvage the situation by claiming it was all a misunderstanding. But the truth had a way of surfacing. A traveling merchant who had visited years ago returned to the village and asked specifically for the young weaver with the magical hands. I think her name was Adaeze something. When directed to Chidinma by Mama Ngozi, the merchant immediately frowned. No, this is not her. The girl I remember had a different face, quieter, very talented. That must be Adaeze, Chief Okonkwo's daughter from his first wife, someone said in the crowd. The merchant's face cleared. Yes, Adaeze, where is she? When Adaeze was brought forward, the merchant pulled out a small piece of cloth from his bag, a sample that Adaeze had sold him years ago, before Mama Ngozi's reign of terror began.
"This," he said, holding it up, "can you make more like this? I have shown this to weavers across 3 kingdoms. No one can replicate the pattern or the technique. I have been searching for you for 2 years." Adaeze looked at the cloth, one of her early works, from when her mother was still teaching her. "Yes," she whispered, "I can make more." "No," Mama Ngozi pushed forward. "That's Chidima's work. Madam," the merchant said coldly, "I am a trader. I know quality, I know authenticity, and I know lies when I hear them. This girl," he pointed to Adaeze, "is the weaver I seek, not your daughter." Word spread further. Other merchants who had been taught Chidima was a talented weaver came to investigate. All of them, when shown Adaeze's work versus Chidima's crude attempts, knew immediately who the real artist was. The royal palace, which had been considering commissioning work from Chief Okonkwo's daughter for the queen's birthday, sent representatives to investigate the rumors. They arrived at the compound unannounced. "We wish to see Chief Okonkwo's daughter's work," the head representative said. "We've heard there's some confusion about which daughter is the weaver." Mama Ngozi, thinking quickly, pushed Chidima forward. "This is my daughter, Chidima. She's the weaver." "Excellent," the representative said. "We've brought materials. Please create a simple border pattern for us. Right now, we'll wait." Chidima's face went white. I don't have my loom set up. We've brought a loom. My hands are not feeling well today." "Then perhaps we should speak to the other daughter. Adaeze, is it?" When Adaeze was brought forward, the representative showed her a complex pattern. "Can you create this?" Adaeze studied it for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, it will take about 2 hours." "Please begin." Under the watchful eyes of the royal representatives, with half the village gathered to watch, Adaeze sat at the loom. Her fingers, which had been idle for so long due to Mama Ngozi's oppression, remembered. They flew across the threads, weaving, knotting, creating a pattern. The pattern emerged, perfect, intricate, beautiful. When she finished, the representatives examined it closely. Then they looked at each other and nodded. "This is extraordinary work," the head representative said. "We've seen hundreds of weavers. This is among the finest we've encountered." He turned to Adaeze. "The queen requests that you come to the palace to create her birthday wrapper. The payment will be substantial, and if the work pleases her, you may be offered a position as one of the royal weavers." Adaeze could barely breathe. "Truly?" "Truly. We'll send for you next week." After they left, the compound was silent. Then someone began to clap. Then another. Then the whole gathered crowd was applauding Adaeze, the girl they had watched suffer in silence for so long. Mama Ngozi stood frozen, watching her years of sabotage unravel in minutes. But karma wasn't finished. Chief Okonkwo, as his health declined, finally understood his wife's treachery. A neighboring woman, Mama Kemi, the same woman who had been at the stream where Mama Ngozi first spread lies about Adaeze, came to visit him. "Chief," she said, her voice heavy with guilt, "I must tell you something. I should have spoken years ago, but I was afraid. Forgive me." She told him everything she had witnessed over the years, the lies spread at the stream, the accidental destruction of property, the stolen money, the intercepted messages, the fire that started in an empty room with no lamp lit. Other neighbors came forward too, one by one, their guilt finally overcoming their fear. They told of seeing Mama Ngozi creeping into Adaeze's room at night, of hearing Mama Ngozi boast to Chidima about her clever schemes, of watching a young girl's spirit slowly crushed under deliberate systematic cruelty. Chief Okonkwo wept. How had he been so blind? How had he let his new wife destroy his first wife's daughter? On his deathbed, weak but clear-minded, Chief Okonkwo called for the village elders and made a new will in front of witnesses. "I leave my substantial property and business to my daughter Adaeze. She is my true heir. To Ngozi and Chidima, I leave only the small house at the edge of the village with one condition. They must never interfere with Adaeze's life again. If they do, they forfeit even that and will live with nothing." Mama Ngozi, who was hovering nearby, burst into the room. "My husband, you can't do this. I'm your wife. Chidima is your daughter now." "You are my wife," Mama Ngozi said quietly, "but you are not a mother. You are a destroyer. You took my daughter's youth, her opportunities, her joy. You burnt her dreams thinking it would elevate your own child, but you only created ashes for both of them." He looked at Chidinma, who stood behind her mother, crying. "Child, you are not blameless. You knew what your mother did. You benefited from it. You wore Adaeze's achievements like borrowed clothes. That's a curse worse than poverty." He turned back to Mama Ngozi. "You will have a roof and enough to survive. That's more mercy than you showed my daughter. Be grateful and disappear from her sight." 3 days later, Chief Okunko died peacefully, with Adaeze holding his hand, having finally told him he was sorry. Mama Ngozi tried to contest the will, gathering witnesses who would testify that the chief was not of sound mind when he made it. But karma struck its cruelest blow. The palm oil business she had so coveted collapsed due to debts she had secretly accrued. You see, Mama Ngozi had been spending lavishly for years, convinced she would inherit everything. The fine imported wrapper she wore to church, the expensive jewelry she bought to match Chidinma's fraudulent status, the elaborate failed wedding that left vendors unpaid, the bribe she had paid to spread rumors about Adaeze, all of it bought on credit she couldn't repay. The creditors came like locusts. "Mama Ngozi, you owe me 60,000 naira for the wedding food you never paid for. Mama Ngozi, the gold jewelry, 15,000 naira. Mama Ngozi, the imported lace, 30,000 naira. Mama Ngozi, the palm wine, the musicians, the decorations, 40,000 naira. The debt totaled more than the small house Chief Okonko had left them was worth. Within 2 months, creditors seized everything. The fine wrappers were torn from Mama Ngozi's back to be sold. The jewelry ripped from Chidinma's neck and wrists. The furniture, the cooking pots, the sleeping mats, all taken to pay debts. Mama Ngozi and Chidinma found themselves with nothing, forced to move to a small room in a distant village where no one knew their shame. They had to work as farmhands, the very labor Mama Ngozi had heaped upon Adaeze, now their own daily burden. Chidinma, who had never learnt any useful skills because her mother always provided shortcuts and stolen glory, struggled to do even basic tasks. She was mocked by other workers for her clumsiness. How can a grown woman not know how to plant yam properly? And Mama Ngozi, who spent years playing the grand lady, now had to bow and scrape for daily wages, her hands growing rough, her back bending under load she once forced her stepdaughter to carry.
Every day was a reminder of what she had lost, what she had thrown away through her own wickedness. Meanwhile, Adaeze's talent could no longer be suppressed. The Royal Commission was a spectacular success. The Queen was so pleased with her birthday wrapper that she commissioned 3 more pieces and appointed Adaeze as one of the royal weavers, a position that came with a substantial salary, a house in the capital, and access to the finest materials. But Adaeze did something unexpected. She turned down the palace position. "Your Majesty," she said respectfully, "I am deeply honored, but I wish to stay in my village. I wish to build something there, not just for myself, but for other girls like me." The Queen, a wise woman who had risen from humble origins herself, understood. "Then take the title of Royal Weaver, but work from your village. We will commission pieces from you regularly, and we will support your other endeavors." Adaeze returned to Gbadegesin not as the oppressed stepdaughter, but as a celebrated artist with royal patronage. Her business grew rapidly. She hired other young women from the village, girls from poor families, girls with talent but no opportunity, girls who reminded her of herself. "I will teach you everything my mother taught me," she told them, "and I will pay you fairly for your work. No one will steal your dreams here. No one will take credit for your labor.
This is a place where women lift each other up, not tear each other down. The workshop became famous. Adaeze's house of weaving produced some of the finest fabrics in the region. Traders came from distant kingdoms. The workshop expanded. Adaeze opened a second location, then a third. She created a school specifically for teaching traditional weaving to young girls, especially orphans and those from struggling families. She gave them skills, confidence, and hope.
Within 5 years, Adaeze had achieved everything Mama Ngozi had tried to prevent. She owned a thriving textile business. She had opened schools to teach traditional weaving. She had become one of the most respected women in the region, known not just for her talent, but for her generosity and wisdom. She never married the wealthy men who courted her, instead choosing a kind teacher named Obinna who respected her work and supported her dreams. He had watched her struggle for years and had always believed in her talent. Their marriage was a partnership of equals, filled with respect and genuine love. Together, they had 3 daughters, and Adaeze taught each of them the weaving secrets her mother had taught her, along with something more valuable. Your worth is not diminished by anyone else's success, and you should never try to diminish others to make yourself feel bigger. True strength lifts others up. 5 years after her father's death, on a day when Adaeze sat in her workshop, surrounded by beautiful fabrics and laughing apprentices, an old woman appeared at her door. She was thin, her wrapper was worn and faded, her head tie was frayed at the edges, and her face was marked by hardship. Deep lines around her mouth, shadows under her eyes, a permanent stoop to her shoulders. It took Adaeze a moment to recognize Mama Ngozi. The older woman stood there, pride and desperation warring on her face. Her hands trembled slightly. Her eyes, once so sharp and calculating, were now dull with defeat. The workshop fell silent. Adaeze's apprentices stopped working, watching tensely. Everyone in the village knew the history between these 2 women. I need work, Mama Ngozi finally said, the words clearly painful, her voice rough from years of hard labor and little rest. I heard you hire weavers. Adaeze looked at the woman who had poisoned her youth, who had burned her dreams, literally, who had stolen years of her life, who had tried to destroy her future at every turn. She thought of the fire that destroyed her competition entry, the sacred book stolen from her mother's chest, the money that vanished, the opportunities intercepted, the reputation ruined with lies, the 3 years of systematic, deliberate, malicious sabotage. She thought of all the pain, all the tears, all the stolen years, all the nights crying herself to sleep, all the mornings waking to fresh cruelty, all the dreams deferred, denied, destroyed. The old Adaeze, the frightened girl, wanted to turn her away, to let karma finish its work, to let Mama Ngozi experience the same helplessness and desperation she had inflicted. Her apprentices waited, watching. Some of them had heard the stories. They would understand if Adaeze sent this woman away. They might even applaud it. But Adaeze was no longer that frightened girl. She had learned something that Mama Ngozi never understood. That true power isn't in destroying others, but in choosing what kind of person you will be when you have the power to destroy. I don't hire weavers who burn other people's dreams, she said quietly, her voice steady. I don't hire weavers who steal, who lie, who sabotage others to elevate themselves. Mama Ngozi's face crumbled. This was it, the rejection she deserved, the justice she had coming. But, Adaeze continued, I do feed the hungry and help the sick. Not because you deserve it, Mama Ngozi, you don't, but because I refuse to become what you are.
She stood and walked to a small room at the back of the workshop. She returned with a cloth bag heavy with coins and a basket of food. "This is for Chidima's healer," she said, handing over the money. "And this is food for both of you. Enough for 2 weeks." Mama Ngozi stared at the offerings, her hand shaking as she took them. Tears began streaming down her weathered face. "Why?" she whispered. "After everything I did to you, why?" Adaeze was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was gentle but firm, the voice of someone who had survived fire and emerged stronger. "What you did to me, Mama Ngozi, taught me something valuable. It taught me that a person's character is tested not by power, but by how they treat those who cannot fight back. You had power over me, and you chose cruelty. You chose destruction. You chose to burn my dreams because they made you feel small." She paused, looking directly into the older woman's eyes. "Now I have power, and I choose mercy, not because you deserve it. You don't, but because I refuse to become what you are." Mama Ngozi was sobbing now, her whole body shaking. "I was jealous," she whispered between sobs. "You had everything I wanted for Chidima, the talent, the grace, the respect that couldn't be bought or faked. I thought by tearing you down, I could lift her up. By destroying your light, mine would shine brighter. But I only succeeded in destroying us both, while you rose despite everything, because of everything." "That's what you never understood," Adaeze replied. "Dreams are like the sun. You can try to block them, burn them, bury them, but they always find their way to rise. And the energy you spend trying to destroy someone else's light only ensures you will remain in darkness." She handed Mama Ngozi a handkerchief, beautiful, hand-woven, with an intricate pattern of phoenixes rising from flames. "This is for you to keep," Adaeze said. "Look at it and remember, what burns you can either consume you or forge you into something stronger. You chose consumption, I chose transformation." Mama Ngozi clutched the handkerchief, her tears falling on the beautiful fabric. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "It means nothing now, but I'm sorry. If I could go back..." "You can't go back," Adaeze said. "None of us can. We can only choose what we do now, today, with the consequences of our choices." She gestured to the food and money. "Take these. Help Chidima get well. Then leave this village and don't come back. Not because I'm banishing you. You are free to go where you wish. But because every time you see me, you see the mirror of what you could have been if you had chosen differently. That's punishment enough." Mama Ngozi nodded, unable to speak. She gathered the bag and basket, bowed deeply, a gesture of respect she had never shown Adaeze before, and turned to leave. At the doorway, she paused and looked back. "You are more than I ever could have been," she said quietly. "Your mother would be so proud. I hope Chidima survives to learn from you what I failed to teach her. That real beauty, real worth comes from what you build, not what you destroy." Then she was gone. The workshop remained silent for a long moment. Then one of the youngest apprentices spoke up. "Mama Adaeze, why did you help her? After everything?" Adaeze returned to her loom, her fingers resuming their familiar rhythm across the threads. "Because, my child, the cycle of cruelty has to end somewhere. It could end with revenge, with me becoming bitter and hard like her, or it could end with grace, with me choosing to be better than what was done to me." She looked at all her apprentices, young women from various backgrounds, all learning not just a trade but a way of being in the world. "Remember this day," she said. "Remember that you always have a choice. When someone hurts you, you can hurt them back, or you can refuse to pass the pain along. When someone tries to destroy you, you can let it make you destructive, or you can let it make you stronger. The power is yours." The apprentices nodded, understanding settling over their young faces like wisdom finding its place. And Adaeze continued weaving, her hands creating beauty from threads, her life creating hope from ashes. The legacy. Mama Ngozi left that day with medicine for her daughter and shame in her heart. She never returned to Gbadegesin. In the village where she now lived in obscurity, she was known as a cautionary tale, the woman who tried to burn another's dreams and ended up consumed by her own flames. Chidima survived her illness, and the experience changed her. She finally admitted to herself and others the truth that she had been complicit in her mother's cruelty, that she had built her identity on stolen achievement, that she had been too cowardly to stop her mother or stand up for what was right. She never became a weaver. She had no talent for it and finally accepted that. Instead, she learned to farm, to plant things and watch them grow, to understand the patience required to nurture rather than steal. It was humble work, far from the grand future her mother had schemed for, but it was honest. She never married. Few men wanted a woman marked by scandal and fraud. But she found peace in her small life, in the simple satisfaction of work well done with her own hands. Sometimes on quiet evenings, she would look at the handkerchief her mother had brought back from Adaeze, the one with phoenixes rising from flames, and weep for the life she might have had if her mother had taught her to build her own dreams instead of stealing someone else's. As for Adaeze, she continued weaving not just fabric but hope. Her story spread throughout the land, inspiring young women who faced their own obstacles, the orphans, the overlooked, the oppressed, the sabotaged. Her schools expanded to 4 towns. Hundreds of girls learned the ancient art, earning their own money, supporting their families, breaking cycles of poverty and dependence. Every piece Adaeze created carried a small symbol hidden in the pattern, a phoenix rising from flames, a reminder that what binds you can also forge you into something stronger. But she added a second symbol too, one she created herself, 2 hands open and giving, positioned beneath the phoenix. It represented mercy, grace, the choice to lift rather than crush. We rise from our ashes, she would tell her students, but we decide what kind of phoenix we become, one that burns others.
When someone tries to burn your dreams, don't waste your energy burning theirs in return. Use the heat to forge yourself into something unbreakable. Use the ashes as soil to grow something beautiful. Use the darkness they created to appreciate your own light.